Shakespeare Festival St. Louis promotes the work of the playwright through education, community engagement programs, and theater productions. They will add to their programming this year, and here to share more about that detail is Interim Producing Director Jennifer Wintzer. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I mean, a lot of exciting news going on. I mean, I always feel like this is that time of year with Shakespeare Festival St. Louis that a lot of announcements come out. So it's like, where do we start?
Sure.
Do you want to start talking about Shakespeare first? Shakespeare in the Park, because that's what's coming up pretty soon. People always look forward to that. And Romeo and Juliet. That's
Absolutely.
the production this year.
Well, we're in our 18th season of producing free professional Shakespeare theater in Forest Park, and we actually kicked off our inaugural year in 2001 with Romeo and Juliet. So we're really excited this year for the first time to bring Romeo and Juliet back, and that'll be June 1st through the 24th in Forest Park, free.
In Forest Park. And people, I mean, this is when all the crowds come up. And tell us about some of the highlights that we can expect for this year.
Great. Well, for this really passionate, tragic, yet hopeful love story that we all know too well, we have an exciting director that we're bringing to town this year. Her name is Elena Arauz, and she's New York based. She's a rising star of the American theater. I'm really excited about her take on the show, and something I think that'll relate to everyone in terms of being rooted in the traditions of Shakespeare, but also being able to connect to our community with really relevant themes.
And how many, can you share some more details? I'm always really interested. I know this is going to sound silly, but with the set and the costumes, I think you do a great job with that. Is there anything that you can share kind of about that?
Absolutely. She's being supported by an amazing creative team. We have local designers Peter and Marjorie Spack of Studio Spack. They're our scenic designers, and they'll be working with Elena to really imagine what this piece will look like as you head up over the hill into Forest Park and are introduced to the world of Verona, which Romeo and Juliet takes place. She's also supported by Dottie Marshall, who will be our costume designer. She's been doing our designs for years. And rounding out that team, we have some veterans, John Wiley for lighting and Rusty for sound. I think all these names are familiar that we've seen before in the creative team.
And that's great. And anything to add about the cast?
We have 2 stars that we're excited to announce. What's great about Romeo and Juliet is that we're able to use a lot of younger talent. You know, Romeo and Juliet are not seasoned in their knowledge yet in terms of their romance and their understanding of the world. So we do have a Webster Conservatory graduate, Sigrid Wise, who will be playing Juliet. And we have a New York-based actor, Reynaldo Piniella, who will be coming to town to play Romeo.
What do you think? I mean, Romeo and Juliet, and obviously films, there's been so many adaptations. Do you think it's ultimately just the story of love that people love about it? Or is it that weird sort of fascination we have with love and tragedy together? I mean, what do you think that keeps people coming back, that this is like for many people their favorite Shakespeare piece?
I think it's a few things. For me, it's the familiarity of the language. I hear things that I was taught so long ago, and I say, oh, right, that's Romeo and Juliet. I think it's also the love story. There's an element of hope that we all, whether we've lived on this earth a long time or we're still relatively new to romance, we want that feeling of hope that these young lovers have.
No, that's great. And should we add anything about the pre-festival, pre-party that happens? Did you want to mention anything about that?
We have a green show, which we've always had nightly, that includes musicians from around the community. It includes roving performers, a mini play performed by our young teen ensemble of actors that we've been working with year round. They do a mini play version of Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, well, we're gonna put some details on the screen, and when we come back, we've got a few things that I want to cover with you that are happening this spring and in the fall. But for the time being, go to sfstl.com. That's Shakespeare Festival St. Louis's website. They've got all the information about Shakespeare in the Park, which starts in several weeks, a couple months, but get prepared for it now and get the details now. And then you're also going to find some information about some of the programs that we're going to talk about in the second segment. So stay with us. We're going to have more with Shakespeare Festival St. Louis right after this break.